Welcome to Digital Marketing ROI, the podcast that connects marketing to your business's revenue and covers everything you need to know to stay up to date in this crazy digital marketing world.
Welcome to Digital Marketing ROI. I'm your host, Shannon Allen, and I'm joined by my favorite co-host, Crystal Vivian. Hi, Crystal.
Hi, Shannon. How are you?
I'm good. It's Thursday again. Where did the week go?
I know. It's crazy. Every week it happens. And every week by Thursday, like Monday, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling good. It's going to be a busy week. And here we go. And Thursday, I'm like, oh my God, I don't have enough time. And then Friday, everything gets handled.
I know. Well, we are launching a new reporting platform that when we get it all up and running, I think we'll do a podcast on that specifically. Just all the cool things that we can, all the data. This is where I know how geeky I am. But we were doing meetings Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the training. And by Friday at 1, I think all of our minds were mush. So we moved it to Thursday. So
there you go.
Friday, we can do some other things. So yeah, I'm excited. You know, we've had kind of part 1 and part 2 already of strategizing for your budget. I think the biggest takeaway that both you and I talked about in the last episode was that there's a really high percentage of business owners out there that don't even have a marketing strategy, let alone a digital marketing strategy, right? I think the number was like 43% of business owners do not have that.
It goes to the importance of what we're talking about and how we can help you build that strategy so that you know that you're making the most out of your budget.
Absolutely. And we've talked about just overall things to get ready to think about that strategy. That was in episode 1. Last time you and I met, we talked really about, we kind of went through the solutions. We talked about digital marketing overall and where it's going, the percentages. We talked really about the branding, right? We talked about how to plan for display campaigns and really specifically, you know, OTT and connected TV, just that streaming video. That's a lot of what we're talking to our clients about right now is that video strategy. It ties everything together. It's just really having more or less that content strategy, right? What is your content going to be and how does that work in different solutions, right? So really focused on that. We're going to talk today a little bit about SEM, and then we're also going to I get to ask you some questions about where social management is going and what to think about in the social world in 2025 when it comes specifically to our budget, right?
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and kick it off then with search engine marketing. How important is this solution for a company's overall marketing strategy as they're planning their budget for 2025?
Great question. It's extremely important. So if you're going to start looking at digital marketing, the first thing I would say look at what you're spending. What are you currently spending? If you're not doing it, you really need to look at how you're showing up when a consumer would search for your products or services. If you are doing it, we just had a client that we're having a meeting today, and then the end of the year meeting is actually next week. But one of their biggest concerns was like with search engine marketing is we're not seeing the leads grow from 24 to 2023. And it's a really easy comeback for us because we can say, well, you haven't increased your budget since 2021. So what I want everybody to know when it comes to anything we're doing right now, right? We know that there has been inflation across the board on everything that we sell. Digital marketing isn't any different. The biggest difference is there's more consumers throwing their hat into the digital marketing arena, specifically when it comes to search, right? So I'm talking about Google AdWords. I'm talking about Bing and Yahoo. When a consumer goes in, types in mortgage loans near me, what's the interest rate for mortgage loans? If your search engine marketing ad does not come up, then they're not going to know that you offer that service. So you need to show up when somebody's looking. And in 2024, the experts predicted an increase in SEM by around 8%. What I'm seeing is about a 10%. So on a low end, if you didn't increase your budget last year from 2023 to 2024 by a minimum of 8%, you're not going to have as many leads. Right? Mm-hmm. We can do everything we possibly can do with our optimization, and we do a lot on the back end, but you can only do so much if a cost per click is going up $1 or $2. It just doesn't go as far. Right. So right now, what we're seeing is the cost per click grew, but in most industries by an average of 10.43% year to date. And that cost will continue in 2025. So what we've been talking to our clients about is really plan a minimum of 10 to 11% increase to stay status quo. So if you want to just at least keep it at the same level, you have to put a budget increase. And we're not talking about a lot of dollars, right? If somebody is spending $5,000 a month in SEM, which is a pretty good average for a lot of the industries we work with, I'm asking you to add another $500 at a bare minimum. right? What you really should do
Yeah.
though, if you want to see growth, is I'd look at a 15% increase. So now you're looking at $750. But what I would ask is, where could you shave $750 possibly off of traditional that's not going as far, that you can't measure the same way, right? We're held to a different standard in digital because we can measure it. Yet, are you going back to your billboard people and saying, we're not getting as many people viewing it, but you increased my cost last year? You don't know, right? We don't know how many people drove past that billboard.
Mhm.
They can guesstimate, but it's not what it used to be, right? Because we also know there's not as many people going to work at the same rate. A lot of us are working from home. So I'm just using that as an example, but I would start with any budget with SEM and look at a bare minimum, look at a 10% increase. Anybody can afford a 10%. And if you want to see those numbers grow, move it to 15, especially for those business owners that have been doing SEM for a while. Any of our clients have been doing it for a while. We've optimized them probably as best as we probably can. We're not going to be able to make those dollars grow. The only way to get more leads is to increase your budget. That's just the truth.
Well, especially because it is truly cost per click, right?
It's cost per click. And one of the questions I get asked a lot is, people confuse impressions, right? An impression means every time a page loads. But the definition for impressions in display or video is very different what impressions are in search engine marketing, right? In display and video, I control the impressions. I dictate them, right? I say, I believe we need 150,000 impressions per month on an average to get a really good reach and frequency, right? We're trying for a minimum of a 4 daily frequency. Now, with search engine marketing, I don't control how consumers search. But if your product is one of those, what I can tell any business owner, nobody's at 100% impression share, which means they're not owning 100% of the market for that keyword or that segment or that ad group, right? When we have clients say to us, my impressions are down in SEM, that just means there's less search volume going on at any given time. But chances are you're not at 100% anyways. So if impressions are down, chances are your budget's going further. So that's not a bad thing. Hopefully, impressions are also down because we're weeding out what you show up for, because we don't want you to show up for the general terms. We want you to show up for very specific quality over quantity. So I would suggest everybody really take a look at understanding impressions, how we count them through Google AdWords and how we count them through a display or a video campaign. Very different. We know, again, what's happening in 2025 is supply and demand. So the primary reasons for an increase is really more competition, changes in the ad quality score, and evolving user behavior. So there are so many changes constantly happening at Google. I have a client that they really look at their SEO, and we offer SEO. We just don't sell it because there is very little control I have over it. And so I was analyzing a report on SEO for one of our clients currently, and the words that they show up for aren't necessarily the words they want to show up for, but that's a Google decision. That's not an our decision. So the point that I made with that client is, hey, here's the good news. You might not be showing up for this organically the way you want to, but you are showing up for it with SEM. So understanding that SEM is where you can control it by choosing what you show up for, how specific we can be with the keywords, and then really making sure there was a budget that aligns with that. So that's really, when we think about SEM, what the difference is. Like what we do, we have a very competitive cost per click because we buy, basically it's like going to Costco. You work with us, you're buying at a wholesale rate. We have hands-on optimization. We do monthly SQR reports. We do regular A/B testing. Those are all things that if you're not working with an agency that's doing those things, or if you're trying to do it yourself, make sure you really look at that. What I tell clients all the time is there is no reason for any agency out there, any business owner, to be doing their own SEM. There's no reason, because even though I have a management fee, my cost per click is at a wholesale rate and theirs is at a retail rate. There's no way they're buying in bulk at the same level we are. So we are still going to get their budget's going to go further with us, even with a management fee. So really take a look of what you could take off your plate in 2025 if you're doing it yourself. And by the way, there's a lot of work to that, to really understand the system and how to optimize and how to pull up a search query report and analyze it and make words negative. It's a full-time job, right? Google AdWords is a platform to do it in, but their job isn't to do it for you. They want you spending more money, right? Let an agency do it with us. It doesn't have to be FDS. I'd love the business, but make sure that you're working with an agency instead of doing it yourself. And if you are working with an agency, really take a hard look at what they're doing behind the scenes to make your dollars go further for that ROI, which is what it's all about.
Being able to make those optimizations is so key to making sure that your ROI is higher because you're spending less because of those optimizations.
Right. What I can tell you right now, an average cost per click is sitting at just under $5 right now for, that's an average. That's, you could look at an insurance cost per click and you might be paying $15 for an insurance word. I encourage everybody to look at their cost per click and to measure how far it's gone up in the last year. There's a few categories we're seeing that we're either seeing it go down, but I was working with a car dealer the other day and the brand Subaru, every one of those keywords went up on an average of $1.50. That's a high increase.
Wow.
That's a high increase. Yeah. So really taking a look at that, overall click-through rates have really been improving. We're seeing for most industries. And again, 86% of a cost per click increase is a reason to look at your budget. So in the end, what I'd love our business to take away today when it comes to search engine marketing is do not be afraid to shuffle some dollars around and make sure you're putting an increase in 2025. If you haven't, you should be increasing 10% every year. That's the truth. But if you haven't done it in a while, I would say at least put a 15% to 20% increase in there.
I think that makes sense.
That's really what I had for SEM, but now I get to do the fun part and we get to switch it around and I get to ask you the questions, right? Let's shift gears here. Let's talk about social in general, right? We call it social engagement as one of our solutions. Really for me, it's the social management we do. This is a service we offer that still has a great ROI. It just is a little bit different than some of the advertising that we offer with display and video and search engine marketing. So let's think about this. We know that right now we utilize both Facebook ads and YouTube ads to enhance either a display or OTT campaign because those are walled gardens, right? So remember, a walled garden means in order for me to do what I need to do, they're not selling their inventory the way that other platforms are, the way that other websites are. So when it comes to social, I'm not talking today. What I want to really pick your brain about is the content part of social platforms. Okay. And how business owners can think about that. So let's start with changes to any social platform in 2025. What should our business owners think about for social and how does it relate to their budget?
So I want to start with, the biggest change in the social platforms overall is all artificial intelligence. It's the biggest topic that everybody's talking about, but it's impacting every single platform in a couple of different ways. And I want to start with the type of content that we're seeing on social media. We're going to see a huge rise in AI created content, whether that's coming from creators or coming from businesses. I've already started to see it. I don't think a lot of consumers are quite aware of what is AI generated, especially text based, unless you're doing it all the time. It's really important to mention that because I think when it comes to social media, we should be any business that is doing social media content should be using AI tools, but we want to be careful about what tools we're using and investing in, and also in how we're using those tools. Having all of that AI created content on social media, the content that's created by people is going to stick out like a sore thumb in a good way. When you're thinking about AI and how that's impacting social media and how it's impacting your budget, and this is our approach, right? This is how we're using it for our clients. Use AI in your creation process, but not to take over the entire creation process. Because at the end of the day, we're still creating content for people. So if we're investing in AI to help us make us faster at creating content, that's great. But it shouldn't replace it entirely because the content quality is just not going to be there. I liken it to imagine if Hollywood used AI to make movies and TV shows. It would be so boring. The content would be the scripts wouldn't make sense. The storylines wouldn't make sense. Maybe, the first episode would be kind of okay, but people would kind of figure it out, right? Mm-hmm. So for local businesses, it's a great way to stand out and to be authentic by using AI to make yourself better at faster at creating the content, helping with brainstorming, invest in tools that are going to make you faster in your creation process, but you ultimately still have to create the content.
That really goes back to something that you and I've talked about. What we're selling is their time, right? How valuable is somebody's time? And even when it comes to AI, I am heading up our AI committee that you're on, that I appreciate every person on that committee because you're all much smarter at it than I am. But I did a training last week where I really showed sales reps how to use it, when to use it. We're continually talking about this, but you still have to take the time to put the data in, right? You can't just spit out one question and have it spit back to you. It's a game, and you still have to know what questions to feed it. You have to know what data to feed it. And when we work with clients on social management, we're really helping them evaluate how much time they're putting into it and how valuable is their time worth. Oh, and then the most rewarding factor is, how about let an expert do it? Because we need to help you grow your engagement, not just do it as a chore.
Yeah, it's not just something to check off. It's not a task that needs to be fulfilled. It needs a strategy if you want to be successful at it. And there are businesses that they know they have to post and they don't care. And that's fine, but you're not going to get anything out of it. If you're just posting just to post, the 12 people that see your content are going to see your content, and that's fine. But if you want to be really successful, you do have to make that investment of very focused strategy, creating content specifically for social media that is social media first. That's very important. We're kind of jumping ahead there a little bit because I want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I get so excited about these things when you're talking about it. But there was something I really wanted to ask you, because I don't think we talk about it enough. And this is the crazy word algorithm, right? You get these posts. There's nothing I laugh at more is when I see one of my friends post something and say, Facebook is making these changes. If you want to see more of this in your feed, do this.
Oh my gosh.
And this is the algorithm, right? Like Facebook has a very sophisticated algorithm. And for those that don't know what an algorithm is, just think of it as the secret sauce. Like, here's the recipe to know what content to show as you're scrolling through your news feed. So can you talk to our listeners about that?
Yes, absolutely. It's so funny because we talk about AI as if it's this new thing and it's been around forever. Did you ever see The Social Network, about the beginning of Facebook and how it was founded? That math equation that Zuckerberg writes on the window in his dorm room, like, that was the initial algorithm. And the algorithm is so much more detailed now. And it's taking in all of this data from our phones and our computers and us individually to show you, Shannon, what kind of content is going to be most interesting to you to get you to stay on the platform for as long as possible. And then when you do eventually leave, make you want to come back. And that content, even though we have 50 plus mutual friends and a bunch of mutual interests, the content that I see is radically different because it's individualized for each user.
It's digital one-on-one marketing, right? it's
that one-on-one.
Really reminds me of Netflix, right? Because Netflix does a really great job of knowing there's nothing that bothers me more. I let my ex-husband use my Netflix account. And instead of creating his own profile, he was just watching shows on mine. You know, my daughter has one, I have one, my nephew has one. And all of a sudden these weird things, like a lot of shoot 'em up, kill 'em kind of things were coming up in war movie. I'm like, what is this? Why is Netflix doing this to me? But Netflix does a really good job of making sure that user gets their content that they want. And that's very much what Facebook wants to do as well. They don't want you to leave their platform.
And they want you to feel like this is Disneyland, right? Like, it's made for you. It's the most interesting content, and everybody interacts with content differently. Video is really big, and we'll talk a little bit more about video in a little bit, but so that's really big. But what types of videos, what you watch is going to be different than what I watch. Whether you like more friend posts, what friends you want to see posts from, what friends you don't want to see posts from, businesses you want to see posts from, businesses you don't want to see posts from. There's all these different things. And, we used to talk that the algorithm changes every 3 to 6 months, and they're kind of tweaking it, and they'll do like a kind of a big tweak every 3 to 6 months. And then we'll see like a major upheaval every year. That's long gone. They're constantly tweaking the algorithm. We're going to see more and more personalized news feeds than ever before. Like, it is going to be so different, the kind of content. And I'm already seeing it. And you'll see every once in a while, you'll start seeing a lot of like the same type of content all of a sudden. And that's because that's the Facebook algorithm trying to figure out, like, oh, somebody else who's kind of like you, kind of like this content. So we're going to show it to you, see what happens. And then if you don't like it, then we won't show it to you. But if you do like it, then we'll show you a lot more. We're going to see that over and over.
Because, a business, it's really going to affect a business, because Facebook is not going to show anything to do with a business if it's not good content and not good engagement.
Yeah. If you're just posting basically billboard ads, it's not going to work. Like, and that's your Facebook ad, not Facebook content.
Correct.
So you really want to focus on identifying who your target audience is to the point where you actually have like a marketing persona that you're talking to, and create content for that person. Make it relatable, make it conversational, make it all about them, and pull them into you. Because you also want to think about when, Shannon, when you're going through your Facebook feed or scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or any social media, you're not thinking about, oh, I wonder what businesses around me are doing today. You're thinking about what's going on in your own life. You're looking for an escape. You're looking for entertainment.
Exactly.
So as a business, the best thing that we can do is show you is post content that is funny, that is makes you laugh, that it makes you go, oh, that's interesting, that teaches you something, that shares an insight. It's something that you feel seen in, that makes you want to share it to your own page so that other people share it. Like that's the golden ticket is getting those shares up.
Well, that kind of takes me to my next question, which is, as we're talking about businesses, let's think about investments. Maybe investment isn't the right word, but as a business owner, as I start to look at my budget for 2025, but more importantly, my strategy, right? What is my strategy? So what should a business owner be thinking about their social media strategy in 2025 to do exactly what you're talking about, to become more personalized, to get more engagement, and to show up more with that to all of their clients and their customers out there, so that we're engaging them, right? So what should they invest in, or what kind of strategy should they think about?
I mean, the very first thing that comes to mind is video content and strategizing that and having video created specifically for social media. And I'm not saying you have to invest in hiring a professional crew. In fact, I don't think that you should, but you should have somebody on your team or have your partner make sure that they're coming on location and recording videos that can be repurposed over and over again. But having a lot of video content to feed the algorithms for your social media. The second part of this is, just like how you said earlier, like you really need an SEM expert, you really need a social media expert in 2025 and beyond if you want to make any kind of traction. Now, that could be you have somebody on your marketing team who their full-time job is social media. You're not piling other tasks on top of them. Right. They are only thinking about social media for 40 hours a week. They're creating content, they're recording videos, they're taking pictures, they're editing that, they're putting it all together, they're coming up with a strategy, they're boosting posts strategically. You need to have somebody who's focused on doing that. If you can't or don't want to have somebody full-time on staff, and a lot of businesses don't, right? A lot of businesses can only have one person in marketing, right? Well, that one person in marketing can't be doing everything in SEM. Everything in traditional. SEM. You can't be handling the OTP and CTV. You can't be doing your print materials and getting your signage together and making sure that everything is good. Yeah. Oh, and then also do social media. Can't do that. We're graphic designers. We're copywriters. We're video editors. We're photographers, videographers. We're marketing strategists. We're content strategists. We're engagement experts, because we're not just creating content. We're also, like, every piece of content is geared towards starting a conversation. We're also participating in those conversations. So if you can't have somebody full time, you need to have a marketing partner who is partnering with you on social media management. And I would love for it to be us. If it's not us, it can be somebody else. But you need somebody who is on social media full time, because that's the only way that they're going to know the lingo. They're going to know what kind of content is going to resonate.
Rules and regulations.
Yes.
That's so important.
Use the algorithm changes, can understand what an algorithm change looks like and how to adjust for your business, can create content that really resonates with an audience. Long gone are the days of, well, I could just do my social media myself. Even like individual coaches or people who have kind of like one-on-one businesses, they are outsourcing their social media content to somebody else. They might be recording videos that then they take off and send to somebody else to edit, so that then they can focus on doing the actual coaching and doing the actual, doing their actual business.
Absolutely. And what we do here is, I do a training session and I send it to Joe on your team and say, here's some good content that you can write posts about, because I'm already doing the work behind the scenes. Now he's taking my content in a training and turning it into conversation so that we can educate, our clients and our people that have followed us because they want to get good tip Tuesdays, right? They want to know a digital marketing tip.
Yep, absolutely. And the other benefit of working with a marketing partner on your social media is you're not just usually just getting one person. You might be assigned that one person who's going to be your social media manager, but you're also getting the benefit of their team too. We're all the time brainstorming with each other and chatting with each other about our clients and about content, about different types of content that we're seeing, things that we're getting inspired by, things that we want to try, things that work and don't work. It really does make a big difference for every one of our clients are getting the benefits of our entire team. And then they have the specialized attention of one social media expert on their content.
I love that. Well, let's kind of wrap this up here. I'm going to ask you the ROI question, which is a little bit harder to do. But, I think about when I set up the solutions originally, our branding, lead generation, and social engagement are solutions. But, I've said it all along, your brand is built on social media anymore. So we could actually take any social management we do and put it underneath the branding category. We put it in
100%.
We put it in its own category because it is a service we provide versus advertising. However, there's definitely ROI. So how can a business calculate an ROI with their organic social media content?
I think that this is also why we kind of separated her out from branding, because you're right. It is very branding focused and your brand is built on social media, but the engagement part is really critical because we're not just creating content to start conversations. We're building a community around your brand, a community of super fans who love what you do, love your products and services, and love talking with you, so that when they're spending their 15 minutes scrolling through their phone and looking for something to be entertained by, you're top of mind. And the more that you are top of mind on social media, the more that you're getting that engagement and extending your reach. We focus on engagement and not followers because we want to reach more people. And followers doesn't really matter because only 4 to 5% of the people who follow your page see your content. But if we are increasing engagement, first of all, more of your followers will see your content, but also the people who are commenting on it, other people who are friends with them are going to see those comments and are going to see your posts and might engage.
It's like doing a share without doing a share. Yeah.
And if they share it, that's even better because now I've shared that post to my friend list, and it's not going to be seen by all 500 of my friends, but it's going to be seen by probably 20 or 30 of them. And if somebody else shares it, it goes from there. And that's how things go viral. So it's hard to calculate a specific ROI. It's branding. You're building your brand and you're reaching more people and you're showing off that your business is human and relatable and trustworthy and experts. That is extremely valuable. And you can see that over time, as you grow your engagement, as you're getting more traction on social media, your sales will go up. Your other marketing will also be more effective because you have that solid brand. It's a good foundation. So It's hard to calculate it specifically. You can't say, for every 30 comments that you get, you're going to get $5 back into your business, right? It's not that easy, but it really is when you're thinking of ROI, it's that long-term brand building and community building that is really important. And that's what's going to drive a return on your investment.
Well, I think that's a great answer. Engagement is something that we want them to be looking at. It's the reason why we call it social engagement and not just social management, right? So I think that's a great way to end it. And I think I already talked about the SEM, ROI. You're seeing it within the first 30 days. You put that extra $500. What you're not going to see is it go down. Right. We're going to see that grow. So I think that kind of wraps it up for all the budget conversation. I think everybody, if you haven't, I'm in the beginning stages of my budget, but I got about 2 weeks to finalize it. So hopefully these episodes have helped some of our listeners to really look at not only their budget for 2025, but my hope is really with their strategy. Take something away, even if you took, 1 or 2 things away from these 3 episodes. I think it's really going to help with a business owner putting together a marketing strategy. Well, that's it for today. I'm Shannon Allen, your host, along with Crystal Vivian. Thanks for listening and join us next time for Digital Marketing ROI.
You've been listening to Digital Marketing ROI from Federated Digital Solutions. Do you have an idea for a future episode or a burning digital marketing question? Text ROI to 45364 to get a link where you can share your idea. Subscribe to get new episodes every other Thursday, plus Tip Tuesday insights every week.
Podcasts by Federated Media.